Hello everybody. So this new video here is in regards to hashtag FreeKesha. So I've been reading a lot about this online, basically with the situation that's surrounding Kesha, the pop singer from the United States. So if any of you are not aware, she is in a controversial court case, basically suing one of her producers called Dr. Luke and Sony, basically for trying to get out of a contract that she has with them to produce and promote her name, Kesha. And she has laid claim that Dr. Luke has sexually abused her, raped her, and drugged her. And is using that as the main emphasis to getting out of her contract with Sony in order to promote her product name and also to make more music outside of the Sony realm. So I just basically wanted to cover my research into this, my interpretation, and my opinion of it as well. With the hashtag FreeKesha, that is exploded on Twitter, Facebook, and multimedia. There's been a lot of back and forth in regards to people who automatically support her being a rape victim. There are others on the other side saying that based off little to no evidence that suggests that Dr. Luke has sexually assaulted her or raped her or drugged her with a span of about 10 years. So let's begin with basically the beginning. So if you look at scribed.com, it's basically going through the court case. There's a copy of it from October 2014, basically stating everything you need to know about who Kesha is, where she started, who Dr. Luke is, associates of Sony, all about her contract with them. There's a little past history that she has claimed. So this is basically surrounding her allegations about Dr. Luke's treatment towards her. Basically it starts off that 18-year-old Miss Siebert, Kesha, was induced by the defendant, Lucas Gottwald, also known as Dr. Luke. He was a successful music producer. He convinced her to drop out of high school right in the last year, leave her family and her home and life in Nashville, Tennessee, and basically go to Los Angeles to promote her as a pop singer. And the claim is for the last 10 years, Dr. Luke has sexually, physically, and emotionally abused Miss Siebert to the point where Miss Siebert nearly lost her life. Dr. Luke abused Miss Siebert in order to destroy her self-confidence, self-image, and self-worth so that he could maintain complete control over her life and career. So these are the allegations against Dr. Luke, who is an associate with Sony, again, around her contract. So the one thing to take note of in regards to rape, the act of rape, and understanding it, there's two major factors I find. One is the issue of consent. Okay, so rape is usually the sexual forcing and domination over another individual by one other individual or multiple ones. Individual rape versus gang rape, for instance. So with the issue of consent, basically if you have one adult and another adult and they both consent for sexual intercourse or sexual play of any sort, then this is not deemed as rape, right? Because both have made the conscious adult decision to perform in the act of intercourse. So this is pretty standard. Yes means yes, and also no means no, fall into this category of consent, right? So if somebody did not give consent and is still forced into sexual performance, then obviously it's qualified as sexual assault or rape, okay? The second factor in regards to rape is the fact that it's after the fact, okay? Normally what happens is that, let's just say, theoretically, a rape does occur, okay? In this case, we'll just use a man against a woman. So a man rapes a woman. the act is now complete. The act is now done. Usually it's very intimate. There'll probably be no eyewitnesses, witness accounts, or video or radio recording of this happening. So now it is up to the government and the police force and even social media nowadays to determine whether or not a rape occurred. Again, this ties in with the first concept of consent and whether or not the two adults had intercourse based on around consent. Okay. Also, such things as being forced physically, any harm came in, both emotionally, physically. Like, obviously, rape is a terrible thing to do to another human being. So it's now the responsibility of the police force and authorities to determine whether or not an actual rape crime occurred. So the victim, in this case, Kesha, has made the allegation against the accused, which is Dr. Luke, of forcing himself onto her, both physically, sexually, and emotionally, and also applying drugs to her in order to have his way with her. And this is the thing that so far, this is what's terrible about coming forward years after the so-called event happened. It's terrible when something like this happens, and it is very important for victims to come forward right away, because the sooner that they come forward, okay, with their or allegation of rape, there is more likely chances of having DNA evidence, testing of rape kits, getting any witness accounts, getting secondary parties, commentary about behaviors of the accused as well as the accuser, time frames. Like, all of this information is critical when it comes to the actual rape that has already happened. Okay, so the whole point of the police and the authorities stepping in is to clean up the mess, so to speak, to figure out what happened. Now, a lot of this involves what's called due process, okay, because we have a judicial system based on our laws and Western culture around this idea of innocent until proven guilty. This basically gives every person the right to defend themselves when they are accused of a criminal crime, such as rape or sexual assault. And that way, we just don't have Salem witch trials and throw tons of people in jail merely based on the accusation alone. So, due process is for police force to gain as much evidence and much stories and the facts as possible to determine whether the accused is in fact innocent or guilty, right? So again, this is where the hashtag FreeKesha, there's two sides basically. Those who instantly believe Kesha as being physically harmed and raped and drugged by Dr. Luke, or there's the other side, which is saying, well, let's base it on the facts. Let's base it on the evidence. We can't just throw a person in jail based off hearsay. Because if we deny due process, then it's basically he said, she said. And since rape involves a lot of intimate moments between the accused and the accuser, it's really only they really know, right? Like, nobody else is around unless there's somebody who hears a scream or notices Kesha go into Dr. Luke's apartment on so-and-so day. Like, this is why we have due process, in order to get to the truth of it. So I'm just going to quickly go discuss Kesha herself. Again, she came out of Nashville, Tennessee, left her family and home at 18 to pursue a music career under the tutelage of Dr. Luke. Now, it's said in the documents of a court case that basically he would spend more time with more popular singers and their contracts, and so he kind of pushed her aside. So she's been wanting to uplift her name and her career. There's one with the song Right Round, sung by Flo Rida, that she actually took part in. She was a guest feature giving the vocals for this song. Now, this song was released in January 2009 and digitally released on February the 10th by Po' Boy Entertainment and Atlantic Records. So she didn't really get credited for this song, basically used as a feature, as a guest spot. What I found really interesting, if you go to wikipedia.com about the song Right Round, it has something to do with the music video. What it says here is, the song's accompanying music video was shot in Miami, Florida, and directed by Malcolm Jones. Kesha was asked to appear in the video, but declined. In an interview with Esquire magazine, she said, they, aka Flo Rida's team, wanted me to be in the video, and I said, nah, I want to make my own name for myself. And then it just describes the video there. And what's also very interesting is that in the scribed documents of her court case, it's saying how she wasn't even credited, or Dr. Luke didn't even credit her as the vocals in this song, and she didn't really gain anything from it. But here, based off Wikipedia, she stated that she wasn't even part of the video at all. I know that this is the more public eye side of the contract song versus the legality part of it, but here she is not really having a partake in this song, and in order to be credited for it. So I just found that quite interesting. So let's look at the net worth of Kesha. So if you go to celebritynetworth.com, basically it makes a list to singers and songwriters, actors, and rappers, composers, stuff like that. So it turns out that Kesha's net worth is about roughly $500,000. Which was quite surprising. I thought she would be worth more, but yeah, I guess that she's only worth $500,000, which is quite interesting because with the support that she's been gaining from well-known celebs such as Lady Gaga, Kelly Clarkson, Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift has given her money, about $250,000, in order to help pay for expenses, which is technically only half of her net worth. Right? So it's very interesting. I'm not a big fan of Kesha myself. I never really liked her songs. I categorize her songs as being more bar worthy or club scene, which a lot of young people go to when they reach of age of drinking. So, she's talented, and I'll give her that. She does have a good career. However, she wouldn't be my first choice in listening to music or going to see a concert. Now, if you look at this website, Richest.com, the top 100 richest singers. So far, number one is, you guessed it, Madonna. Madonna's net worth is $700 million, and she's from in the United States there. Celine Dion came in close second at $630 million from Canada. Mariah Carey, Gloria Estefan, Dolly Parton, Toby Keith, the net worth of singers, it goes all across the spectrum. We have pop stars, we have country stars. Barbra Streisand is at $340 million. George Strait at $326. It lists the top 100 richest singers, both male and female. Now, is this based solely on their talents with singing, vocals, being in the public eye? A lot of it probably has to do with their right producers and companies that sign up contracts with them. So a lot of it revolves around promotion, right? So in Kesha's case, it just seems like Dr. Luke and Sony were not promoting her to her liking, or just maybe not enough to what she was desiring. So if you look to the website mirror.co.uk, more about the case here. Basically, October 2014, Kesha sued Gottwald, claiming sexual assault and battery, sexual harassment, gender violence, civil harassment, violation of California's unfair business laws, intentional infliction of emotional distress, negligent infliction of emotional distress, and negligent retention and supervision. So she's basically laying the claim that he did not stick with his side of the bargain in promoting her musical career. And it continues here. At the time, her mother, Peb Sebert, said her daughter was put under a huge amount of pressure to slim down and was allegedly advised to take drugs to suppress her appetite by a former associate. So she's almost living the rock star life. making cameos in other popular singers' videos, getting her vocals out, taking drugs and partying. Her whole shtick was about being youthful, living life to the fullest, live it every day and every night, and just partying all the time. And that was the common theme of Kesha's music career. And as Kesha's lawyer, Mark Garagos, claimed, this lawsuit is a wholehearted effort by Kesha to regain control of her music career and her personal freedom after suffering for 10 years as a victim of mental manipulation, emotional abuse, and an instance of sexual assault at the hands of Dr. Luke. So now here's the question at hand. Did Dr. Luke sexually assault and rape and drug Kesha throughout the 10-year span of their career and their time together? What a lot of people are starting to point out is to the 2011 case that she had with Dr. Luke, the disposition in which Kesha stated that she had not had a sexual relationship with her producer, Dr. Luke, and that he did not give her cocaine or what was known as a roofie. So I'm just quickly going to go and show the information in regards to that. So if you go to HollywoodReporter.com, which I'll provide a link down below, it basically has the one-on-one interaction between the lawyer of the defendant, Dr. Luke, against Kesha, who was on stand. There will be highlighted notes here. So some questions that were asked Kesha, such as, were you ever with Gottwald at a time when you thought he was high? Kesha would reply, he may or may not do drugs. Question, you don't know if he does drugs? Her answer, I don't know if he does drugs. You don't know if he did drugs back then? Objection, yada, yada, yada. And the lawyer to the defendant asked, and you didn't have an intimate relationship while you were sleeping with him in the same bed? Her answer, no. And then what's really critical in this back and forth questioning is, question, you were at the meeting though, weren't you? Is it that you don't know or you don't remember? Her answer, I don't know what my mother told to David. I know that Dr. Luke, never made sexual advances at me, so. And aside from managing your relationship with Dr. Luke, what else was it that you wanted Das to do for you? And then it goes more into that. She basically what this entails is that she has sworn under oath back in 2011 that Dr. Luke did not roofie her, did not give her drugs, and that she wasn't sexually assaulted or raped by him. She testified under oath that he didn't do these things. Now, back in 2011, now 2016, so 5 years after the fact, now she's starting to change her story, saying that she was forced into lying under oath in fear of her life. Now, but the thing is that this is now held against her, and with the lack of evidence to support that he did in fact rape her. So this is the physical evidence, DNA, drugs, all that jazz, which is obviously just gone cleansed through the system over the years. So a lot of this is going against Kesha, which doesn't support her accusation of Dr. Luke. So with basically through due process, the lack of evidence, and her testimony under oath back in 2011 stating that he didn't hurt her, basically in the court of law, he is not guilty of these crimes that she has accused him of. So did he do it? Maybe. But I think the onus is now on the victim here, in this case Kesha. Again, there's no victim blaming, no victim shaming on her behalf. But the problem is that in the regards to rape, women or men need to come forward when this actually happens. Okay? There's also been evidence showing that both Sony and Dr. Luke has provided her an out. Basically, they've given her the choice to go with another producer. However, her consequences of this is basically she won't be able to promote her career the same way as she would if she was still with Sony and Dr. Luke. Now, as far as I know, she's still declined going with another producer. So this begs the question, if she's so afraid of her life and being around Dr. Luke, okay, don't you think her first priority would be to get herself away from him? If it is something to do with emotional and traumatic PTSD, for instance, wouldn't you want to get away from your abuser at any cost? And here, both Dr. Luke and Sony have given her that option, but so far she's not taking it. So I think a really good question to ask here is, what's more important to Kesha? Her body, her state of mind, her heart and emotional health, or her career, or her money, or her brand name? So people bringing up these conversations is not necessarily to show that they disbelieve Kesha or shut her down with her emotional baggage in regards to this whole case. It's not. It's asking these questions to get to the bottom of the truth, to whether or not Dr. Luke attacked her or didn't. I don't know. In my personal opinion, I'm somebody who follows due process. I respect the law and the authorities in order to find the truth in regards to a crime, because I believe that sometimes just listening and believing the victim, all it does is just virtual signaling. People want to feel tolerant. People want to feel good in supporting the rape victim, right? And since in our society, everybody listens to women whenever they make this accusation, that they will throw men under the bus merely on the accusation alone. Listen and believe mentality is terrible. Terrible for our system, our justice system, and our court systems. Because if we had the listen and believe versus due process, basically I could just accuse anybody of raping me 5 years ago in a place that I don't need to prove it. Just listen and believe me. I am so distraught from pain and emotional stress that to be around my abuser or to even talk about it is a crime in itself. And then we're just going to have so many people thrown into jail, most likely men and boys, right? Teenage boys and whatnot, which labels all men as these potential monsters and rapists and all women as potential victims of these men. And we all know that's not the case. Why have we gotten rid of common sense in regards to due process? It is literally the best, it's not the best system out there, but it's the only one we got. Innocent until proven guilty. Not guilty until proven innocent. Okay, so we have to ask these hard questions of Kesha. We have to ask these hard questions of rape victims, based off the accusation. We need to, instead of just listening and believing. Ugh. So I'm going to talk more about my interpretation of this. I stand on the side of, based off the facts, based off lack of evidence, and based off her testimony, I have a hard time believing Miss Kesha with her accusation against Dr. Luke. What this more comes out down to is that it sounds like she's trying to get out of her contract in order to promote herself more and build up her career. I'm not trying to victim blame her and I'm not trying to victim shame her, but a lot of these things she could have avoided or made the choice to step out. Okay? Though with the contract she signed, she gave that consent. She signed into her contract, both with Sony and Dr. Luke, to help promote her career. She made that conscious decision. Okay? She made it. Dr. Luke has worked with other artists and singers, so he has his career. If he was this terrible person, why would anybody work with him? Okay? So I feel like she's made this conscious choice to join up with Sony and Dr. Luke in order to promote her singing career, to make money, live the rock star dream. And since it wasn't going the way that she wanted, now she's trying to get a way out. Now, I do believe that she should be able to break her contract and go with someone else, another producer, for instance, and promote her career. She's still talented. She has a voice. She obviously can handle being a pop star, being in the spotlight. However, she's kind of done this in a very underhanded kind of way. So based on the lack of evidence, based off her testimony back in 2011, I just can't seem to believe her when she tells me and the world that Dr. Luke has physically abused her. So that's just my personal take on it. This doesn't mean I'm a rape apologist. I'm just going off by what the courts have said and what the facts are. This is all that we have to go on, okay? I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is, ladies and gentlemen. And if any of you watch this video and blame me, I mean, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a defense attorney. I'm not anything like that. So this is based off my opinion, but based off the facts that I see in front of me. You know, it's the same for cops. It's the same for your opinion as well, right? Except with cops and the judicial system, they're more trained in the legality purposes, whereas we get our information from social media. So that's what I think. Hopefully both parties can walk away from this. I think if Sony just cuts their ties with Kesha and Kesha goes her own way, but Kesha needs to understand the responsibility with this action. She may do better outside of Dr. Luke and Sony, or she may not. But if the whole purpose is to get away from your abuser and you have a way out, you take it. Alright guys, if you like this video, again, like and comment. Please tell me what you think. I'd love to hear your views. And hopefully this whole thing just really works itself out. Alright guys, have a good one. Bye.
Rush is worth the price I pay. I get so high.